All right, what up? Massive weekend in hybrid sports. And today, joining me to talk about it, everybody's favorite post-race analysis, race brain homies. We've got the stats man himself, hailing all the way from Denver, Colorado, Mr. Jack Bauer.
Colorado Springs.
And
awful
intro. And the mayor of the Dirty Stallis, one of the greatest OCR athletes of all time. He's going to give opinions no matter what people say. We got Bracken Crocker. BK, how we doing?
We're doing great. Great weekend of racing. Hyrox is just officially, I think, surpassed the buzz of OCR. You had multiple continents racing and people were glued to the races in all of it. OCR only had that once or twice ever. It's big.
Quick question for the two of you because of what BK just said. Is this the best hybrid weekend that we've had in the last year from start to finish?
I mean, you had multiple spots of world championship among the best racers on the line, but it wasn't just that. It was the depth and who missed out. It was so unpredictable that I would argue that this was almost as exciting as for any major weekend that we've had. Yeah, you might have a good point.
We're not just talking Hyrox today, gang. We're talking DEKA.
Oh, something happened there? We got some fast running.
That's why I said, is this the best hybrid weekend that we've had in the last year? We got to talk Deca Fit SoCal. We had 2 Elite 15 doubles that did not go the way that people necessarily thought they were going to go. I mean, there were storylines. Like, if you're a fan of hybrid sports, and we had coverage wall to wall, you could have literally watched an elite race basically at any point in time all day Saturday. And if you would have stayed up until about 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., you could have had 12 hours of just different hybrid races that you were watching.
Yeah.
The only
wall to wall, like you said.
Yeah. Only comparable I can think of was, I think, 2023 Dallas. It was the same for Deca Fit World Champs. It was the same exact weekend as Stockholm for Hyrox Major. So maybe that might have, taken the been a little bit more important because I was more solo racing. But since then, this is probably the best overall weekend that we've had.
No doubt. No doubt. On today's show, we got a lot to cover in so little time. We were going to talk Hyrox Elite 15 doubles Paris. We are going to talk Hyrox Elite 15 doubles Miami. And yeah, you heard it. We're going to talk Deca Fit SoCal because we had some crazy results down in the DEKA arena. But we're going to start with our European friends. We're going to start over in Hyrox Paris. Before we actually get going, I just want to say that is the coolest venue that I have ever seen for a Hyrox race ever. And honestly, like, if you've got a chance to go to Paris, and if they ever do it there again, like, I don't know how you miss out on that. It was beautiful.
They just have it figured out. They can give you an atmosphere in the venue. They can give you visuals, and they can give you an event. Like, all three, they're checking the box on.
And they're always in big cities. So even after the race, you've got somewhere cool to go right after.
It was insane. I mean, the pictures were stunning. I actually got to go to the Grand Palais this past summer, and getting to see how they transformed that into a Hyrox venue was sick. And it was cool because for the spectators, there was like the second level that you could be up on. So it was actually great coverage from the Instagram live streams because you didn't have people like contending, like trying to get up on the, the railing, and, fighting their way in. And so I thought it was awesome. So great. Jack, you're the stats man. You've got the stats for Paris. Do we want to start men or do we want to start women?
Let's do women. Honestly, let's start men just because I feel like it was a deeper race and there were more upsets. That's probably a better way to start.
Okay. All right. For the men, I'm going to go ahead and read off. I'm going to read off down to I'm actually going to read off the top 11. We don't normally go that far, but that's because that's how close this race was. In first place, we had the Spaniards, Roberto Viciedo Jimeno and Luis Garcia Rubio, 50-27. In second place, Bo Wills, Eugenio Bianchi, 50-29. In third place, Yannick Chopla, Tim Vinish, 50-42. In fourth place, Alan Chow, Thomas Fry, 50-55. In fifth place, Hedy Wiersma and Thierry Wilgenberg, 50-56. Sixth place, John Wynn, Graham Holiday, 51-17. Seventh place, Jake Williamson, Aaron Travers, 51-22. Eighth place, Lucas Storath, Tiago Luaza, 51-26. In ninth place, Geoffrey Boisson and Guillaume Lavoie, 51-27. 10th place, Peter Schiller, Kieran White, 51-42. 11th place, Aaron Woodman, Danny Ray, 51-51. Boys, between third place, so podium, and 11th place, 60 seconds.
Nasty.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. So I just want to say a list of things. Can I do that?
Yeah, start it off.
How many names I mispronounced?
No, I'm going to
I let you. Well. I let those slide.
So I'm just going to read off a list of entrants here: Peter Schiller, Geoffrey Voisin, Tiago Lusa, Lucas Storath, Jake Williamson, John Wynn, Graham Halliday. Those are the names of an Elite 15 start line. Those are also the names of people who did not crack the top 5 in this race, which highlights what we said prior to all this, which is Hyrox Doubles is finally a different sport category, or at least a different event than a pro Hyrox. We haven't seen that in any relay racing or doubles yet, which is that other people can do well. And I just listed off a list of names that did not go top 5, but that were shoulder to shoulder with people that the average and probably advanced fan of the sport has never heard of in their life. You had people out there who have never been sniffing an Elite 15 competition going shoulder to shoulder with people who've been top 5 and top 10 at a world championship and giving it to them. That is just so good for the health of the sport.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we talked about this on the preview show, just that like doubles is a different race. It is a different feeling. It favors maybe even we'll get to this when we get to the Miami race. You don't have to be, I think actually BK, you made this point of like, you don't have to be Hunter McIntyre to be the best in doubles. And actually that might not even be the best combo. And you know, I do want to give credit where credit's due. I believe Jack pointed out, had rightfully called out that there were some fast Spaniards that we expected to run. They did not wind up running, although this race was won by fast Spaniards. And Jack's whole point was these people can run. So if they can run, they're going to be competitive. And this team that won, yes, we actually did have them on our list of 20, or Jack had them on his list of 25 people to watch out for, but we had them a little bit further down.
They came in with total 18th fastest combined PR.
Yeah. Just crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
If I told you guys that there were nearly 30 individual men who had broken 60 in a pro race, several former world championship athletes who've competed there were teaming up, and their combined PR was nearly 10 minutes slower than some of the actually over 10 minutes behind like Tim and Yannick. And I told you that a team who had never broken 60, either of them, in a solo race, and didn't even have the fastest run time in this race, didn't start with the main group at 7:30 a.m. They were in a later wave. If I told you they're going to win, no one would take that bet. Absolutely absurd what they pulled off.
But this is also why I said, are we going to see Bracken Crocker running an Elite 15 doubles?
Yeah.
We got it. The people want to see it. I think, you know, this is so good for Hyrox. This is so good for Hyrox because the storylines are compelling. I do think that we have a clear Elite 15 doubles favorite at this point, which we will talk about later. We do have a team that I think is heads and shoulders above everyone else, and they've proven it. And we can't compare courses and times, but this is a team of people that if you're in Europe and you're familiar with the Spanish circuit, you probably know them, but I don't think other people know who they are. And this team, that 50-27, that's legit. That would have been second in Houston. I mean, this is a team that could be a podium threat. And I think now you're starting to get that Hyrox is the sport for everybody. And you are going to have pros that are in that field, but you're going to have some teams that are right there that are going to have that they're going to be podium contenders and could eat people up. And that is so good for this sport.
Yeah. You go back 2 years maybe in this sport. And if you took any given Elite 15 field at World Championships and paired them up in almost any order and they took on all comers, they'd probably go like 1 through 10. The all-comers may be able to pick someone off that was poorly matched up pairing wise, but that's it. They might even go 15 for 15. And that is not the case anymore. You can't just take the 15 best at singles and say you are guaranteed to make money in doubles, especially now that age group World Championship is just pro. Right? You're just doing the same weight. It still is the same skill set. This gives people another route to get to the top.
Like you. Yeah.
Let's just not bring that back. You're trying to make fetch a thing. Let's not do it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Excluding Australia only because we did not see any Elite 15 doubles teams race in Australia. And that's not taking away from the men that qualified there. I'm just stating a fact. If you now go and you look at the Houston race, you look at the Paris race, and you look at the Miami race, there was one team in every single race that does not have an Elite 15 member on the team that is in. So that's 3 teams that are non-Elite 15 athletes on the men's side for sure. And then you take the 3 from Australia. We'll see what happens in London. Although if I'm a betting man, I would not count out Tony Revel and Kieran Parkinson to get a spot after what they just did in Miami. So you're going to potentially have over half the field, or half the field is going to be made up of non-Elite 15 teams. And I think that is great for the sport.
So good.
By design almost. Yeah, I was doing a little bit more digging on Roberto Viciedo Jimeno, and he's
great
done some
pronunciation.
That was fantastic. Yeah. But anyway, like I said, he's never broken 60 solo. He's run 6 Deca Fit races over in Spain in the past. How many podiums do you think he has? 0. Never podiumed the Deca Fit. He's losing to guys like Alphonse and Pau, like never podium there. My PR is faster than his in Deca Fit, and he just whooped the field. Like, this is such a shocker.
Yeah. The you go, I go style. If you can match up on the runs, it just opens up the floodgates for other styles of athletes. You don't have to have a singular skill set.
All right, let me ask a question, because I was actually talking about this today in my my Milwaukee Hyrox group chat. 2 different conversations, but I think that they both were getting at the same thing. One very impressive performance here, and I think Jack, you called it out, or maybe it was Marcus had called it out, that he would likely do well, was Jake Williamson. Yeah. And he wound up running with a partner. He wound up running 51.22, which was right there in contention. Jake has done well in the pro field, but hasn't quite cracked into the Elite 15. Is it fair to say that singles is more like, and you guys are the runners, so if this is just a ridiculous comparison, you let me know, but that the singles race, pro singles, is more like a half marathon to marathon, maybe not in time domain, but in terms of, like, you know, kind of systemically, it's kind of that zone 3, zone 4. It's that longer distance, you know, kind of that bigger aerobic engine. And doubles operates more like a 5K, 10K, where it is high output, threshold, even potentially zone 5 the entire time, and it is just quick power output.
Bracken,
I think it's even more drastic than that, honestly.
3K.
You think like 800?
3K.
Honestly, I think it's more like a great miler 3K guy.
Okay.
Instead, just simply from a time domain perspective, if you include the runs, there is no time you're working for longer as a male than 3.5 minutes without a rest. Now, I guess if you lead into the station, it's probably 4 minutes. It's
If you
probably
take
the most
45 seconds of farmer's carry, add it to mid threes, yeah, 4:15. That's about
4 to
mile.
4:15 is the longest you will ever have to put out for. And so people that can spike and recover can do extremely well. And there is almost no place for that unless you are, I don't know, JK or Lauren in the women's pro. That race is about never tipping. This race is about how often can you go back and forth and just recover like crazy. And who's really good at this so far? It's the people who have a highly anaerobic background. But yeah, pro is a half marathon. That's an elite half marathon time. Little shorter.
Yeah, I talked to Kent yesterday. We're not going to jump. We are going to talk about Paris. I was talking to Kent yesterday, and he actually texted me and said, doubles is the move if you can handle the pain. And then I was talking to him on the phone, and he basically told me that, like, fun fact, this was Kent's first ever men's doubles race, open or pro.
Oh.
So the only other time he had run doubles before was with Meg, and that was obviously fast, but it was a different kind of fast. And he told me that that was a feeling unlike anything he had ever felt before. That is one of the greatest hybrid athletes of this generation, and one of the probably on the all-time greats of Hyrox athletes himself. They saying like this is different, fundamentally different.
Kent has done it all from 11-minute Deca strong all the way to 2.5 hour mountain races for Spartan race. He knows every single feeling of pain, every single distance between there. So for him to say that, you know, that's a brutal race.
Yeah. And he was a track guy too, but he was also a grinder. You know, as the distance got a little longer, he got a little better. He was a put out and just peg it kind of guy. As far as I recall, I don't remember him being a sit and kick guy or someone that was like a big surger. He was just let's push this output and see who can hang on. And that's how he'd win an OCR. He would just, the races like a Seattle that he would win, or West Virginia, he'd do well. He'd find himself out front and he would just set a pace. And so I believe this was a brutal race for him. That's the opposite of setting a pace.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had guys like John Wynn and Graham Holiday afterwards who those are, I mean, the rise of Graham this year has been, other than Bo Wills, has been pretty impressive. And John Wynn is right there in every Elite 15. I mean, if you ask me to bet on who's going to get one of these last chance qualifier spots this Saturday, it's John Wynn. I mean, I just don't see a world where he doesn't, but they both said it was too fast.
Yeah.
Like it just was those are two of the best solo athletes. And they got 6, which is in a very respectable 51-17, but they were just like straight up. That's a different level of pacing than what we could do.
And I know we're not fully talking about Miami yet, but I didn't get eyes on Paris. And so what we saw in Miami was that the people who can run could finally unleash it. Neither Palayo nor Rich used their running in the first half of a Hyrox pro race, of a single race. And yet they
used it on Saturday.
like 5th. And they got to the sled push in 1st.
Yeah.
With guys like Kent and Rylan, who are aggressive front half runners ahead of them, they just decided to use their running, and they could because they got to recover. There was no real worry of what if I spike. It's let's spike a little and let's see if anyone can spike and recover like we can. It's just a different element. And to me, it makes it more exciting. A pro race it's just like it builds and it builds and it builds. And by the end, it's either a blowout or you're waiting on pins and needles. But this race is just like constantly spiking the interest.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys want to see some numbers?
Yeah. Let's get to the data.
So
enough
before we get to this, so you guys are kind of in agreement that it's just a running race. Like whoever runs the fastest, they're going to do the best. That's what it seems like.
Oversimplified, but yeah.
Yeah, oversimplified. But yes.
Okay. Let's do some screen sharing.
Also,
right
while Jack is pulling this up, I also just want to say that, like, and that granted, with this race specifically in Paris, it is hard because they did have over 400 teams that competed. But please, we got to do a better job of getting heats right, because in this instance, we had the original top 3 was Bo, Yannick, and Heidi and Thierry. And that was our top 3 for over an hour. It was over an hour. And then that's when Alan and Thomas Fry came in. They took the 3rd spot, but then they got bumped 20 minutes later with the Spaniard team. So I don't know that fundamentally changes the outcome of the race, but I do think it kind of does from a certain aspect. Yeah, because either you're time trialing or you're racing and maybe you blow up. And we saw it to a lesser extent in Miami with Tony Revel and Kieran Parkinson coming 10 minutes later. But I just think there's got to be a better way. Like they used to do this. They used to be able to get heats based on previous results, and now they don't. And this Spaniard team had a fast time. They had already run together. And what you said, Jack, they were 18th.
18th.
They had the 18th fastest
They were like
time.
52 something. Yeah.
There's no reason they weren't in that first heat. None.
How many times in the group chat before races am I being like, all right, here's everyone's PR, here's the approximate rankings? They can do that so easily. It takes me like 15 minutes. It's a piece of cake. Just
we gotta get
Race
solved.
Brain to do it. We'll get the right.
We gotta get solved. We gotta get solved.
Anyway.
Oh, BK, I don't know what happened, but your mic went out.
I've got these spring allergies going. I'm blowing my nose like crazy. I'm muting, unmuting. Yeah. But with the field sizes now, they're not leaving lanes in between teams. And so we saw on the push that people are directly in line with the other team. When you're trying to transition out, if you want to transition out around the sled, you're in danger of getting heel clipped and you're in people's way. So it does benefit people to either be with the team or in the next wave.
Do you want to know one thing that I did notice by watching some of the Instagram coverage for Paris? It did seem like people were respecting the fast lane if they knew they weren't in those first, like you only saw it sparsely populated when guys like Bo and Eugenio or Tim, like when they were in the fast lane, people got out of the way. So if they can do that in Europe, they should do that in the US, leave it for the fast people. But I think that was good that, that stuff didn't really affect the final outcome because people respected it. Anyway, let's look at some of these results. Look at this right here. The team that won crushed the zones. They did well at the runs, but about 30 seconds faster on the zones than every single other team except for Jake and Aaron Travers. That's very surprising.
My guess, looking at this, though, is the difference is probably, and this is no disrespect to either of those two Spanish athletes, just hop on down to that 6th place finish, John Wynn and Graham Holiday. I would be willing to bet that Graham and John probably outstation them in a solo race. So I think this kind of goes back to the point that BK brought up about Rich and Palayo. If you're able to access your running and you're able to get that break, I'm guessing that the effort that it took to run a 30-35 for the Spaniard team was probably not as much effort as it took for John and Graham to run a 30-56, and then the stations suffered as a result.
Yeah. And this was also a close race. It looked like people weren't separating on the run. If you look realistically, it's a 1 minute swing from 1st to 6th.
Yeah,
and that's
seconds.
That's still pretty tight. And if you take out that 30-56, then it's. I mean, anyway. It's just. I agree. The stats don't lie.
Yeah,
but no one was in here with a slow run time.
Yeah, I was gonna say top 5 realistically, like that got the win, but the top 5, they're all blue. You had Lucas and Thiago also, they kind of faded a little bit, but of the top 10, the faster runners ended up finishing in the top half of the top 5, or in the 1 through 5, basically. I looked at kind of the splits, so like how long each team was running versus doing the stations for the men, and you could see kind of like how it varies. But I'll go on this one. So places 1 through 10, % of time spent running. So the higher the time spent running, the less time it took you to do stations. That kind of backs up the charts that or the table that I showed you before. So yeah, if you're a very solid or above average runner, you did better, and that's kind of what we predicted ahead of time.
So I got a question.
Yeah,
we still have to have world championships to be able to say this, but when we're looking at our end of season Hyrox awards, which that's a Race Brain show idea, I think for breakout athlete of the year right now, the obvious choice is probably JK, but I'm going to posit, should it actually be the Kiwi Bo Wills? Because this is we've seen him. He's like slowly been creeping his way up. He's working with the hybrid engine. Anthony Parasini's been saying for months, watch out for Bo Wills, watch out for Bo Wills. And the thing about Bo used to be, you don't want Bo anywhere near you final 3 stations. If he is within, if he can see you on farmer's carry or lunges, you're done. And that's how he would eat his way up into like a 9th place, 8th place, 7th place finish. But he typically kind of finished in that back third. We've now seen Bo finish top third of solo races. And this is a very strong running time. Now, he did say that it hurt and that Eugenio was pulling him along. But I would love to be pulled along and be able to run a 30:06
8.7
run plus rock zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't fake it. It doesn't matter if you were pulled along or not. You completed it. There's indoor. What is the drag factor you're reducing by running behind someone? If you are, it is almost negligible. Like he ran 30:0. That's what happened. I don't care how he got there. You can't fake it in running. And this is bad news for the rest of the field. You take a closer and you up their running capacity, and they're still a closer.
Yeah, and don't forget, they thought they won. Like, and there's a 13-second gap over who they saw next to them. So I think you've got a solid point. Bo did what he needed to do, and he's been on a roll with all these top 5 finishes at majors as well. He might be the breakthrough athlete.
I mean, this is a crazy ascension.
Yeah.
Like, can you guys think of anyone else in the sport who had the station ability, who then all of a sudden was then able to put on the running ability this late in life?
To an extent, I would say Colin Stiefert. I think that he has just steadily improved his running like every month since I've been aware of him as an athlete. It seems like that. But outside of that, I'm not entirely sure I can think of a better example.
Colin's still young, though, is he not? He's like mid-20s. I think Bo is like my age. I want to say he's like 33, 34.
Yeah. No, I'm not taking anything away from Will. I was just trying to think of anyone else who was certainly a station person and now runs very well. But I remember Colin running in a major thinking he's not even moving that much slower than Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a couple more stats just before we do this. This kind of shows like how, like what zones mattered the most. So these right here are the zones, and you can see the athletes who won. They took the row easy, they took the farmer's carry easy, they took the ski easy, and then they crushed the sleds. They did really well in the back half. And a lot of athletes who focused on the wrong stuff, like Yannick and Tim, they did the same exact thing where they just kind of coasted on the row and didn't really take that seriously, but they faded. They went out way too hard. Let's take a look at
by the way, we no longer see this successfully work. This also happened in the men's field in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You already pointed out Rich and Palayo were first in to ski. They left in either 4th or 5th. Rylan and Ryan who were probably the best skiing team as individuals, came in 2nd. They left, I believe, in 3rd. And then we watched as those teams that went out 1-2 ultimately faded. They still finished with top 10 finishes, but they faded back. We don't see it work in solos anymore, and yet teams continue to do it. What's it going to take for people to realize that the juice is not worth the squeeze?
They have to feel it. They have to blow up.
Yeah. And take a look at this right here. John Wynn and Graham Halliday, a couple guys with top 5 finishes at majors several times. They saved something for the end. Like they crushed the lunges, they crushed the wall balls, got him 6th place. It didn't matter. Like that works in solo. That does not work in the team race. Same deal. You saw like Peter Schiller and Kieran White. They finished 10th. They did really well at the back half zones, but it didn't matter. Like you need to, the pacing and the strategy is so different for doubles versus solo.
Yeah. What we know scientifically is that the muscle groups that give out quickest and recover the slowest start at the fingers and move upwards. Fingers, forearms, shoulders, core. And then as you move lower, they last longer and recover quicker. So why would you overski?
Yeah,
like it's the one thing that has proven not to make a difference in a Hyrox race, probably ski in a row for most people. And it's the thing that is probably going to set you up for the biggest failure is to overwork that station.
Let's just look at these two right here. So you got 1st place where Roberto and Luis, they took the farmers and the row easy. They had subpar times. You had Hide and Thierry. They destroyed those two stations. I think they went a little too fast, and as a result, they blew up here. They should have just dialed it back a little bit. They crossed the line in third, right, thinking that they made it, and then obviously the team from Spain and then Alan and Thomas ended up getting a faster time later on. But if they just change their strategy, tone it back just a little bit on those two middle zones, I think that they could have been third place.
Yep. And realistically, this is not a knock against these two gentlemen. They're excellent competitors, but a 412 wall ball and a doubles is not good. I mean, that just shows you how you can literally go 25, 25, 25, 25. You can transition 4 times and still walk out with a 330.
Well, look at the ski. Look, anyone who went blue on the ski. And then let's look at how they finished.
They're not towards
like
Tiago
and
Jake.
Lucas.
Jake and Aaron obviously hammered the station. The problem is that the trade-off there was that it impacted their runs. They're they're a minute and a half.
The worst
to 2
of the
minutes.
runners in the top 10.
Yeah, they're a minute and a half to 2 minutes back of every other team, just because what they gained on the stations they gave all back on the runs.
Yeah, but outside of them, like Lucas and Tiago, they're as seasoned as anyone. They went blue on the ski. They went 351 on wall balls.
Yeah, they blew up, and it was apparent on the live stream also on the lunges. It was like, oh, this is getting bad, and then 351. That they might have coasted it in after they saw they missed top 3.
Probably both gone 351 in a pro race solo.
Oh, surely, yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was pretty fascinating that the people who took the least important zones really hard, it didn't pay off. So if you take the road, take the farmer's carry, take the ski easy, you're probably going to do well. It worked for second place, first place, fourth place. Like, you got to change your strategy, guys.
There's always a reason why the best aren't doing it. If you have the option to be faster than the best on the first station and they're not doing it, you kind of have to ask yourself, why aren't they if they could? Just because
I think that's what
can go fast.
I think that's my question though, Bracken, is like, even on the men's side, people are still doing it and they know that it doesn't work. They've seen it happen and some of them have felt it, but they're still doing it. Yeah. Like and it's not like information doesn't exist out there. You've got guys like Rich, making YouTube content saying that it doesn't matter, talking about how he finished, 3rd or 4th in Glasgow, but was 14th out of the ski. But like people are, it's like, is it like a pride thing?
100. Yeah.
I don't think so anymore. I think that the pro athletes look and say, Meg, Lauren, Dylan, Hunter, JK, Ronk, the people who win races more often than not, Dylan, they come out and they're gone and we never see them again. So as an athlete, my only chance if I'm running for extreme success is I have to be in contact coming out of this because we're not back halving these guys. Every single person I mentioned there doesn't get back halved by the general population in an Elite 15 race. And so I really think they believe I have to do this until it works. And they would look at a Rich and say, it's worked, but he hasn't had his big one. Well, now I think we've gotten to the point where we can look at him and say, it's working better than your style is working. But we have an unfortunate track record, a precedent of people who surge early do end up winning Elite 15 races and world championships.
When Lauren Weeks went 58 low the first time, did anybody want to guess what her ski time was?
Probably like 4:06.
4:30 was her ski time. Yeah. The first time she went 58 low. The first time she went 57 low was 4:10.
So 20 seconds good enough for an over a minute improvement, though. So that's not the whole story.
Listen, I'm with you.
But my point is, if it's good enough for the GOAT, it should be good enough for everyone else. All right. I think the last point on the men, and then we do need to move along, is the only thing that I would call out is if you got a chance to get to London Excel, if you can find a spectator ticket, I would get there. Tony Rebel and Kieran Parkinson are going to come over. I got to imagine if I'm Alan and Thomas, I'm trying again. You got to imagine that Hidi and Thierry going to try again. I don't think the plan right now is for John and Graham to do it. John is now all in on the LCQ. Jake Williamson is actively looking for a partner to run that. I'd have to think that Lucas and Tiago are going to try to find a way in there. I would also think that Joffrey and Guillaume are going to try to find a way in there. I mean,
But
that
let's not
race is
forget
going to be insane.
let's not forget my Spaniards from who I was calling earlier. I think
Oh, that's right.
Kevin, yeah. Pablo
And then we know that
Kevin.
and then Fabi and oh my gosh, big time Hyrox name. Why can't I think of his name? Who's
Dieter?
Fabi running with?
Or, no.
Oh my goodness. Someone let me know in the comments. I know it's like a household Hyrox name that is just like escaping me right now. It's not Peter Schiller. He just ran.
Florian Gast.
Florian Gast. Florian and Fabi are running London Excel too. I mean, that race is going to be insane.
Yeah.
All right. On to the women. Great race. Not as tight. So we'll go top 5. First place, Lyndon Beyer, Viola Oberlander, 55-39. Second place, Sika Arning and Rebecca Frank, 56-56. Third place, they proved me wrong. They said, fuck your data. We don't care. Margaret and Charlotte Van den Lindenloof, 57-16. Fourth place, Mare McGinley and Rachel O'Connor. And in fifth place, Alice Schurer and Tanya Schroschneider. Thoughts on the women's race? It actually kind of went a little bit the way that we thought it was going to go. In that,
not Marcus.
Yeah, not Marcus. Yeah, Marcus was way wrong on this one. But Linda and Viola did run away with it, basically starting at what we predicted, the sled pull, and then they didn't look back. They won by over a minute. I think the most surprising thing here is, and I hope that everything is okay. Jana Liebenstedt and Simone Feld, who we thought were podium contenders. I don't know what was going on, but they were about 4 minutes out. I don't know if they caught a penalty or what happened, but they were about 4 or 5 minutes out at the row. They actually finished at a 62-28. So not the day that they were expecting. But I think the story here is twofold. One, Viola posted afterwards that Linda is back to being Linda. And Viola is not quite 100% healthy. And so I think if we're thinking about podium threats for the solo race, I think everyone kind of thinks that it's a 3-headed monster between Meg, Lauren, and Joanna. But I think Linda might be back. We saw that in Vegas, and this was an impressive race. And then again, similar to what we were talking about early on with the men, shout out to the Van den Lindenloofs. That's not, that people know them in Hyrox because they're sisters and they race a lot. They were second in the world last year and the age group doubles. But I think this is good for the sport. These are not Elite 15 athletes. This is a 57-16 is nothing to sniff at.
No. And between the Van den Lindenloofs and the Sutherlands, 2 of the 4 races had people in the same family on the podium. That's
cool.
That it goes beyond pairing up high-level age group athletes or non-Elite 15. That's now just looking in your own household and doing it. I think it highlights the importance of communication on the doubles teams.
Oh,
which
communication.
I think we'll get to in Miami.
Yeah, it paid off, but look at the men's side. We already saw that. People who had raced together plenty of times, they know each other's style. They know when to tap in, tap out, and no one knows each other better than a couple of sisters who do the same exact sport. So it clearly paid off. The other thing that really stood out, 5th place, you had Alice and Tanya, 2 athletes who have raced Elite 15 solo, finished in top 5, and losing to athletes who have good teamwork. Like I feel like that's the secret of this whole thing, and I think it's so exciting that you're not just having basically add up the 2 fastest PRs and that's who's going to be in the top 3. Like, it's so cool that it worked out on the men's and women's sides for both races in Paris.
Yeah, and this is a minute PR for the Van den Lindenloofs. So who knows? They got a shot to run against the best, and they rose to the occasion. Awesome race. Also, very strong race by Sika and Rebecca Frank. I don't think in the pre-race show, I don't think everybody was as high on them as I was. Shout out me. But Sika Sika's making moves. She's making moves. I don't think that she's quite ascended yet to that upper echelon, but she's going to be a
28.
Yeah, she's gonna be that. She's gonna be right there, and she's still young. She's in that. I think she's in that. I think she might be like 24, 25. So there's no reason to think like the future is bright on the women's side.
Yeah, she strikes me as someone that if she strings it together now between now and World Championships, she's a mover in that field.
Yeah, what'd you
Yeah,
get?
because she
Fourth last
seems to
major
be a
also.
racer.
Yeah.
She mixes it up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that obviously the elephant in the room, Kate Davies, Zara Pergiani didn't end up racing. That could have affected the final standings, but you can only race who showed up. And you know, the sisters, Margot and Charlotte, they're going to Worlds.
That's right. Yeah, and you got to think, you know, going into again London Excel, we now know that Meg and Camilla will be there racing. Definitely going to be the favorites, but Kate and Zara will make it interesting. And you know, I would think that some of these teams, you know, might give it a go again. I love seeing Dina Hogan race. You know, her and Tom are Hyrox OGs. She had a respectable 59.43. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's a communication thing, but they could be in it. You know, Jezebel and Munsa could be in it as well. You got to think that Alice and Tanya might give it a go again. This race,
unfortunately, if you want to head into Miami, one of those spots is taken in London already next week on the podium, or in a couple weeks.
Megan Camilla.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Anything else we want to say?
I do just want to say that this
actually,
weekend.
I will.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think I know where you're going, and I agree with you. So I'll let you make the point since you said it first.
Well, we'll see if we're on the same
Is it a
wavelength.
guarantee? Yeah.
When you double the number of people that have to toe the start line, you double the chances it doesn't happen. Travel's difficult. Training's difficult. The sport's difficult. 2 people have to get to the start line. And so doubles, I think, is going to have a higher rate of DNSs than singles will, just through the pure logistics of it. And so, yeah, Meg and Camilla should have it. But we saw this weekend that with their team, with Kate Davies' team, some people just didn't make the start line.
Yeah.
There's nothing guaranteed.
And I was actually talking to Luca over the weekend, and he made it the point of like, Hyrox is a tough race, and I think we've seen that. Like, I think the theme for me from Paris, Miami, and going back to Houston, and kind of the point that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Yes, there are people who should win, and if there were Vegas odds, Meg and Camila should win, and they should win handily. That said, though, anything can happen on race day. I don't think most people outside, and I always recall this, but it is true. I think going into Houston, most people not named Bracken and Matt were saying, watch out for Marcus Wallace and Dawson Miller. Everybody thought it's going to be JK and Jake. It's going to be Colin and Grayson. And it's going to be Dylan and Jeremy McConnell because of the name brand recognition. And it worked out similar to that. But Dawson and Marcus getting second was a shock. The Sutherlands getting third, maybe not a shock to their community and to them, but a shock to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Wills, I mean, Tim and Yannick, and then Bo Wills and Eugenio losing, or not, I shouldn't say losing the podium, but not getting first and second, a shock to a lot of people. So I do agree with Bracken that, like, yes, on paper, we have clear favorites, but anything can happen on race day.
Yeah. And it's been highlighted to us this past weekend that the team attributes must line up well. You cannot afford to have someone not working at their best capacity. And if there is a disproportionate balance on a run or on a long station, it negates how good the one person is if they can't use it compared to the other person. So that's not directed at any one team. It's just, you can't take an all-star team and throw it together. It's like the dream team happened for a while. International basketball caught up. Simply throwing the best players together wasn't enough to beat well-coached, smooth teams. And that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
So yes, they should win.
Meg and Camilla, they have fantastic chemistry regardless. But Meg is coming off of an illness, it sounds like, or she's battling it right now. Last time I was sick, it took over 2 weeks to get better, and hopefully it's not the same for her. But I could see international travel feeling off. Like, it might not go perfectly.
Yeah. All right. On to Miami. We'll start with the dudes. First place with a very hot 48-31, a new world record in the pro doubles, and actually the fastest Hyrox doubles time of all time, regardless of open and doubles. They beat their own world record in open by 5 seconds. A ridiculous 48-31. Our guy, Ryan Rich and Palayo Menendez Fernandez. Second place, Rylan Shadag, Ryan Kent, 49-51. Third place, Ben and Harry Sutherland, 50-16. Fourth place, Kieran Parkinson and Tony Revel, 51-02. Fifth place, some people, some podcasts were saying this guy didn't have wheels. Jarrett Newby, Hayden Warner, 51-12 in a solid fifth place. Sixth place, Stephen Pelkifer, Keith Hardwick, 51-39. And then seventh place, Jack Driscoll, Colin Stiefer, 52-04. This race streamed right here on Race Brain. What are our thoughts?
Well, I asked a question of the panel prior to this race. I said, if we are saying that Rich Lyo are the prohibitive favorites, and we are saying that Rylan and Kent are going to be faster than them at any given part of this race, where does that balance switch? If we think that Ryan and Rylan were going to lead out and blast people from the start, where would the advantage start? And I don't know if any of us were going to say run 2. It switched really early, and it was pretty demonstrative, and then it just built. They set a pace. They basically took the Rylan, Ryan Kent approach, and they did it to them with it. They just said, we're going out hot once the first station's done, and do what you can about it.
When I watched this race, I was kind of curious as to what was going to happen. These were their run times in order. Lap 1 was short, which means that lap 8 is long. And just wait till you hear this. Run 1, 2:29. Run 2, 3:11. Run 3, 3:14. Run 4, 3:12. And that's when I thought, oh boy, are they going to start to come back? Back half numbers. Run 5, 3:14. Run 6, 3:12. Run 7, 3:09. The longest run of the day, run 8, a blistering 3:20, which was good enough. Let me just pull this up for a absurd 24:57 run total with a 3:22 rocks, which equals, Jack, keep me honest, a 28:19 total run time, 8.7K.
Do you want to guess what pace that is per mile?
Oh my God. 28. So they had 1.3K left. So they basically ran a roughly 31 minute 10K. So 5:43.
No, 5:14.
You have to drop about 30 seconds off.
Yeah, 5:14, which is about a 3 minute and 15-second kilometers over the entire race.
Counting 90-degree turns, counting 180-degree turns, counting weaving,
and it's
counting
past Rich's
transition.
bedtime, late at night.
And they never looked, the thing that like to me makes them the prohibitive favorites, they never looked gassed. Rylan actually said it best on his Instagram afterwards. The move that they made on the burpees, they put 22 seconds into Kent and Rylan on the burpees and then ran like bats out of hell out of there. Run 5 was 3:14. So they put 20 seconds on them on one of the single most demanding stations and then only sacrificed 2 seconds on the run.
Yeah.
How'd they break up the burpees count wise? Do you remember that?
I don't, because the way that and shout out Katie Simonson, you are a saint for being boots on the ground and getting that live stream going. The way that she was going, she had it on him and then she kind of came back to Rylan and Ryan. And then by that point they had made the turn. So I don't know how they broke it up.
I saw one that was around 5-ish, but this is where, I mean, teamwork mattered throughout the whole race, but we saw it on the burpees, the communication. I would say of those 22 seconds that Ryan and Rylan lost, probably 12 were on transitions. And the other 12 were just because Rich Lyle were more aggressive. They ratcheted their pace up from an open performance or a pro performance. And I think Rylan and Kent just kind of worked up slightly. They notably went harder, but the transitions were just significantly faster. And the wasted time and people standing behind versus trying to get up in timing when the transition was going to occur, they were losing a half second to a second per transition.
I would say I'm actually willing to go out on a limb here and say this was a top 5, maybe top 3 Hyrox performance of all time. And the reason why I say that is because at no point did they look like they were laboring. At no point did they look like they were going to fall back. And it is worth noting that Kent and Rylan, and I say this respectfully, Rich Leo gave them that work, waxed them. And Rylan and Ryan, had Rich Leo not been in the race, would have beat the previous world record by 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So Ryan and Rylan, this is an amazing race.
They did great.
It's a fantastic race. Yeah. All mistakes aside, this is literally the second best race of all time, but it looked human because of what Rich and Palayo did.
Yeah. What was split number 1?
On
the run?
220 what? And then what was
229?
320?
Oh, yeah, 229. Run 8 at 320.
So what does that average out to between those two? If their average run was like actually 312, about is what they were clipping off.
Roughly. Yeah. They're like
Think how fast they ran lap 8. It is 8-second difference from their average when the first one was like 30 seconds faster. 40 seconds faster. Now, not that it is evenly given and taken on that, but you usually give back on 8 what you give away on 1 or vice versa. And they hammered. Their running was there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for the record, Ryan and Rylan, their run total was 25:40 and 3:33 rock zone. So that's a 29:13, which is still probably 5:30 pace. Jack?
No, probably like
something.
5:20.
5:20 something?
If that, yeah.
Ryan and Rylan were worthy competitors and are also probably podium favorites at the big race. But that just goes to show how ridiculous the Rich Lyle race was.
Yeah, 29:33 had Hida and Thierry as the fastest runners in London, if you're including run plus rock zone. And then you said 28:19 was what Rich and Palayo did. That's a minute and 15 plus seconds faster.
Absurd. I'm running out of adjectives there because it was insane to watch. I was giving the stats while it was happening. Halfway through the race, they were 2 minutes ahead of the world record pace. And Dawson pointed out, well, it's different courses and the run 1 was different. And that turned out to be accurate. But then by the time we got to farmers carries and it was still over a minute and a half lead on the world record, it was like, okay, it's going down. There's no way it doesn't go down. There's not enough room to make up for it to, it was insane.
And also, if we look at the pro field, now, Jack, this is your territory, not mine. I'm making a guess. You can give me data.
Yeah.
This was not a fast course. This wasn't an outlier course by any means. If you look at the women's times compared to what some of them have run in the past, there were several women in the pro field that weren't even close to minutes off their PRs.
Yeah, Chris and Kate ran almost a minute slower.
Dylan, Samuel Hebert, they were Dylan was slow. Samuel was slower than his best. Yeah.
Yeah. So this wasn't a gimme that you show up here and don't do bad and you're going to PR. This wasn't that course.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also had some we also had some other crazy performances. I think I saw Tony it was either Tony or Kieran made a joke. It was not really a joke though, that they got 4th place and their run time, not including rock zone, was 26:20. And they were like, what do we have to do? We just ran a 26:20 and that's not even good enough for the podium. Those numbers aren't real.
Yeah.
This race was blazing.
You got to see. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, I was just going to say it was tight until sled pull. And then it was a 2-horse race. And then after burpees, it was basically, okay, Rich and Palayo are running away with it. I think the other storyline, I can't even say other storyline because I do want to talk about Rylan and Ryan. But the problem was for them, the Sutherlands were coming.
Yeah.
And when you were watching it live, there was some thought of like, oh shit, like our Ryan and Rylan are running in no man's land. They could not catch Rich and Palayo, but they had enough of a gap, and the Sutherlands just kept like every station
They were
and every
suddenly
run
there.
getting a little closer and closer and closer. And it was like, oh no, like we might have a huge upset.
Yeah. It shows how good Kent and Rylan are, that you can have someone just run away from you and still be so strong and fit to just finish off a race like that, because it is the most painful version of Hyrox, and Hyrox is already bad. And so to close hard when you've been dropped, that's fitness you can't fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how smart of a decision by the Sutherland brothers was it to come over? They avoided England, or what happened in Paris. They don't have to race in London. They already clinched their spot. And you might have had better performances in Miami, but it wasn't as deep. And now they're going to Worlds and they don't have to deal with anybody else, and they don't have to race again.
Yeah.
Who knows? They easily could have, and they could have won in Paris for all we know, like 50-16. I don't know how that's necessarily going to compare course to course with the differences in each course, but they made the right move coming over.
Yeah, no doubt. If you are the rest of the field, Ryan and Rylan are going to be a scary combo at Worlds, particularly because I think I won't pull a Texas Longhorn Sam Ellinger after beating Georgia and get dogged on this. That's a very niche reference for people. I'm not willing to fully declare that Kent is back, but coming in, running this race in his first ever doubles, running the second fastest time of all time, doing it with a more than capable partner. And this is his only race in Chicago because he's not going to be racing Elite 15 doubles. I don't know if he's going to plan to do a solo. I'd imagine he'd go all in on this. He's hungry. He's motivated. I think he's excited for the race. Rylan is a dog. Like, and they I think Kent yesterday was talking about, some of the mistakes they made, transitions and otherwise. I still think that Rich and Palayo are the hands down favorite, but I would put Ryan, and if for whatever reason Rich and Palayo don't have their day, or Kent and Shadeg do, I mean, they're going to be right there fighting for. I mean, they're going to be. I would put money that they're going to be on the podium.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we call it a 1 minute gap, it wasn't a minute of fitness.
Yeah,
it was probably like 30 to 40 seconds of execution.
Yeah,
which means they're in it. They have a bigger room for improvement on that than anyone else that I saw.
Kent definitely needed this race also from a mentality standpoint. Like, he had a tough end of the year stretch last year, and obviously the times that we've seen him at majors this year.
He's had tough 18 months.
Yeah. And for him to have this and get his get that fuel back, I think this is exactly the race that he needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great race. Shout out to the Sutherlands. People, hey, boys, people know your names now. They didn't know before, they know now. And I'll be pulling for Tony and Kieran. They ultimately finished about 45 seconds back, but they were in it. They were running from a later heat. They were in second place for much of the race. I think they faded a little bit on the back. But, again, who knows? You're there applying pressure, and when everyone's racing, we'll get to see it. Great races all around. Also, pretty impressive performance by Jarrett Newby and Hayden Warner. Riker had to drop out last minute. Hayden Warner jumped in. Very fast time. And another team to watch out for, probably not this year, because I think they're both focused on solos for Worlds, but Steven Pelkoffer and Keith Hardwick, a very impressive 51-39 for the first time they paired up. That's going to be a team to watch next year. On to the ladies. Another great race. In first place, the 57-23 from the hybrid engine, Jess Petro and Maria Fetchik. Second place, Bridget Brown, Tara Jackson, 57-48. Third place, Chris Rogloski and Katie Simonson, 1 hour, 38 seconds. Fourth place, Megan McNabb, Allie Summers, 61:02. And in fifth place, Katie Howell and Alex Shabo, 61:47. The story obviously here is Meg came down with some type of stomach bug. Don't know if it was food poisoning or otherwise. Was unable to race. She was pretty open that she called Benny and Rich, got their opinion. They told her it wasn't worth it. They were able to then go and they worked with Hyrox. Shout out to Hyrox for making it work for Meg and Camila. They will be racing now at London Excel, where we do anticipate that they will be heavy favorites. Camila did get a stimulus that day. She actually ran open. And I just want to shout out Camila on this. I thought this was cool. She was able to run. They got her into the race, but I think it just speaks to the kind of person that Camila is. She didn't want to take away from the age groupers, so they let her race, but she raced without a chip so that she could get the stimulus and get a chance to race, but didn't take anything away from the athletes that had showed up, which I just think is a classy move on Camila's part. She did break an hour, first time that she's broken an hour, I believe. So best of luck to her and Meg in London Excel. But fellas, this was also another great race. Jess Petro, Maria Fetchik, Bridget Brown, Tara Jackson traded blows. This was like a heavyweight boxing match, back and forth the whole way through.
Well, and they both ran 28:46 for their runs on the dot.
Crazy.
And then you add the rock zone in, and there was 7 seconds of separation in 8.7K of locomotion. So that just right off the bat, they were dead heat running. It just came down to who could station a little bit better. And it came down to finally the very last station.
Yeah, it basically came down to they got in. Maria and Jess went 50-50 with a very fast transition, and they just hammered the wall balls. And Tara and Bridget, I think, struggled a little bit on the wall balls. Their transition times were not super fast. Their wall balls were 4:01. They did not transition particularly fast, and their cadence seemed to drop. That also could be, I don't know to be sure, but the performance that Bridget Brown put on the lunges, everybody was going nuts. I mean, the way she was lunging like she had nothing on her back, just absolutely moving weight. And I think everybody kind of thought it was over at that point because they had over a 20-second gap leaving the lunges. And that's hard to make up on run 8 and the wall balls. I don't know if they paid the price for it, but they did the thing that matters, which is they got their spot, and this will be a strong team at Worlds.
Yeah, leaving Farmers Carry, it looks like Jess and Maria were 1 second down and then 23 seconds after sandbag lunges. That's absurd. One single station and one single run, a 23-second swing that late into the race. You think it's over at that point, but I think your legs, you're right, definitely they just gave out. That was a crazy lunge.
As a hero effort. And that's hard. It's hard to then do two difficult things after, which is run and wall ball.
And Jess and Maria, like, I think I'm happy for them. Again, Jess Petro is continuing to kind of ascend. Maria hasn't had the season that she's, I think, envisioned. I don't think it's been the season that she envisioned for herself. I don't know if she plans to go to Barcelona for the last chance qualifier or not, but good for her for getting that spot. And again, I think she needed this. And I think the two of them, I don't think that this is what they're capable of at the top end. So I think that they will be a very strong team come that World Championship race. And, again, they've got some things that they could clean up too. But this was a very, very exciting race. And also, shout out to Chris and Katie for getting that third spot after what happened in Houston. They ran a great race. They kind of found themselves in no man's land. They held on for third. And to just great people. I think just like good ambassadors of the sport, good people. It's good to see him. Yeah, Bracken doesn't agree. He doesn't like Chris. But I'll be excited to see them race as well.
And number one contributor to the live coverage. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Shout out to the new Race Brain commentators. The other notable thing that happened in this race was Kat Fossbender and Kelsey Hochleitner ran. Kat obviously is rising. I think this is someone who's going to be in the Elite 15. Just wasn't their day. I think the heat affected them a little bit. So that also impacted the race as well, because they were right in it for the first couple of stations and then had some issues. So best of luck to them. Would imagine, again, I think that's going to be a team next year to watch out for. And Kat Fossbender actually, after running half this race, hopped into the solo and then won the women's open overall with a 58:30. So that is, I mean, she's moving. I mean, Kat's going to be in the Elite 15. It's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when at this point. So best of luck to them. Any other final thoughts on the women's race?
Just that I think Camilla and Meg would have had competition. Now there's a chance they just come out and go 55, 54, right? We saw people lower the world records this weekend. They could have done that. But if they were off their game a little bit, these two teams would have been in range for a bit. And that could have made for a very fun race. So hopefully we get to see the rematch at Worlds.
Yeah. When you're
still,
going blow for blow,
I still think that's a 50. I still think that's a 55 team personally, but
Yeah, I
I
think so.
hear the point.
Yeah, when you're going blow to blow with another team, like you have fantastic performances that you might not have thought you were capable of, and that's exactly what we saw with the top two women just being so close most of the race. But yeah, throw in Megan Camilla, who knows? Could have been a three-headed monster.
That's right. All right, boys. I say Deca. You say
You
fit.
say why? Oh, sorry. Fit.
We did have a race this weekend. We'll go top 3 men and women in the Deca Fit on the
Start with the
side.
men and list the times. Okay.
No, well, on the men's side, in first place, Grayson Kilgore, 29:37. In second place, Chaz Hatton, 31:59. Third place, Glenn Race, 32:10.
And fourth.
On
look at fourth.
Okay, fine. Fourth place, Aaron Nolan,
32:10.7.
32:10.7.
0.2 second gap.
Photo finish. John Clark in fifth, the 34:06. On to the women. 31:27, Lauren Weeks. 32:07, Vivian Tafuto. Third place, it was a hybrid engine clean sweep on the podium, 34:16. 34:38, Katie Duke. And fourth, Bree Schrader, 35:02. Awesome weekend of racing. The men's field was not as deep, but Grayson is definitely got to be a heavy podium favorite this early in the season. And that's nothing to sneeze at. But I think the story is on the women's side, Lauren Weeks breaking her own world record, going 31:27 in the middle of a Hyrox season. And also Vivian Tafuto with the 32:07. These are serious times from two people. I think we already know that Lauren is probably the betting favorite, if not, or probably the hands down betting favorite for Worlds as of right now. But Vivian is a threat.
Bracken, you know how good Glenn Race is. Vivian beat him. That's a hell of a performance.
You know what my first thought was out of all of this, which may be a stupid first thought? I wanted to see her in doubles, Hyrox.
At Vivian?
Yeah. I almost wish she had been in Miami, teamed up with someone, because that is a high output she just put out there. That is an intense effort and a legitimately impressive performance. And I'm glad she did it. I'm glad she's set up to make a podium at Worlds here, but it's the type of skill set you can be rewarded for at Hyrox Doubles. I want to see her
19, 5K time.
For Vivian?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's
Unreal.
moving.
17:02 for Lauren Weeks.
That's the story right there. How fast was Grayson? Like 17:47?
Yeah, let me look.
I just don't get it.
Grayson was 17:46.
Lauren Weeks was 44 seconds faster than Grayson. And we know we've talked about this whole year whenever we have a Hyrox race is like, how fast was Lauren versus the top men? And like oftentimes she might even be the fastest in a lot of these races. Her running is the biggest weapon in all of hybrid right now.
Well, that Red Bull thing came out, and she basically said that she felt like her stations were maxed, and so she was going to focus on the run. And my God,
People say things like that,
but she's backing it up.
but she did it in a way no one's ever done.
Yeah.
She's backing it up. I mean, like, I don't feel confident calling a favorite for the women's field for the world championships. And I would never count out the reigning world champ. But
I'm confident.
the running that Lauren is producing as she is ascending, like It's insane. It's insane.
It shouldn't be possible. And she now has more options than anyone else does. Like, you want to take it out fast? Let's run. I'll show you what fast is. You want to back off that slightly, and I can just be a little more fresh for stations. I just don't know what you would do to her in a race to take her further into the cave than she willingly takes herself. Can she be beat? Yes, anyone can. But I'm very confident just stamping that she's by far the favorite.
I mean, and again, this is the thing about this race is that if Lauren's not in it, we're talking about, I mean, 32:07. Jack, you know Deca results better than anyone. That's got to be take Lauren Weeks out of it. That's got to be a top 5 time all time.
Lauren Weeks went like 31, 51, and 59. Her 2 previous best marks. That would be the world record if Lauren Weeks.
Yeah, what's Tara's personal best?
She's like 32:20 or 30 roughly.
Yeah. Okay. So without Lauren Weeks, this is a world record.
Yep.
Lauren Weeks doesn't exist. This is the fastest time.
Monster performance.
It's like another. This is like a Kenton Ryland situation from Miami, which is like, this is the story, if not for the fact that the winners blew the doors off the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
17:02. How many men have broken 17?
In a DEKA?
Yeah.
Probably like Rich and Gaudette. Maybe Derek Yorick. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
It doesn't even matter if it's smart or not. She's playing with her toys at this point. She's trying to figure out what she likes the best, which arrangement's going to work best for her.
Yeah.
The fact that she can even have this as an option and still run that fast is just stupid.
You guys want to guess what Lauren Weeks ran in 2023?
33 low.
33:49. Meg 32:27. Lauren's taken more than 2 minutes off her time. I know that, you know, she's clearly a better athlete, but I guarantee it's probably all running at that point.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. We're running out of, there's no more descriptors to use. It's not human. It's not normal.
I'd talk that maybe it was Dylan, maybe it was JK. I didn't really know. It's 100% Lauren is the best compromised runner on planet Earth.
Yeah.
She just has that. She's the patron saint of compromised running. To an extent that it's unhealthy for us to even have that time and exist in the universe, because now that's what others are compared to. And I don't like that. Get out of here, Lauren.
It's crazy. All right. We did it. That is your Elite 15 doubles and DEKA recap. We are back later this week because this weekend, boys, last chance qualifier. We are going to give you a last chance qualifier preview and give our favorites to win. That episode will be coming out on Thursday of this week. Bracken, Jack, any final thoughts before we let everyone go?
I think it was just awesome having a lot of coverage out there. If you missed any of the Miami coverage, go on YouTube, take a look at it, give it a like.
Race Brain, like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Throw us that like on the Spotify's.
I have a question for the panel before we sign off. It can be a 30-second answer each.
Yep.
Can you come up with a pair that you think would match up well with Rich Lyle?
No. They're
like a Tim JK, Ronk Hunter. Is there someone that matches up well with them?
It would have to be somebody it'd have to be someone who could run. So I'd say
JK's got to be in it.
I would say I don't think that they would ever do it, but maybe JK Hunter.
I think JK Alex, if you look, Alex has been a little bit better at wall balls, and Hunter has shown that he's cracked on the burpees, and that seems to be where Rich and Palayo just are leagues.
No disrespect to the champ. I don't think Ronk's got the top end wheels.
He doesn't. I mean, Rich and Palayo are just on a different level with that.
And I don't know if anyone matches up well with JK with how he runs.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like Rylan and JK would be a
JK maybe
solid team. Like, nothing against Kent. I feel like Ryan and Rylan, they just broke the old world record. So like,
they're the two closest clones.
That's as formidable of a team as you get. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Maybe JK Tim,
Yeah.
JK Hunter.
JK Tim would work for a while.
But also JK Dearden could be the team. It is worth noting that in Houston, they were 2 days post Glasgow and an international flight. So they not exactly fresh.
Yeah.
So all right, let us know in the comments what you think. That's all we got. We're out. Why is it not ending?
Done. Matt, you broke the button.
I have the